Before I get into the preview of the match taking place between Red Star and Rangers, I want to first of all thank all the Rangers fans who commented on my last video, made it the most successful one. You know, Commenting that they can't wait for the atmosphere for the match because of the two storied franchises meeting for the first time, I think, since 2007. And, they've met in the past and they've had great matches as well. But I want to thank them for leaving comments. I hope I got back to everyone. I think I did. And now, we're kind of waiting for the match tomorrow, which takes place in Glasgow and at the Ibrox Stadium. And like I said before, I can't wait because I know that the Ibrox is a rocking stadium. I mentioned Rangers' history in the past, the amount of trophies that they've won, just a very historic franchise, team, club, whatever you want to call them. And I just can't wait for the match. And I've been kind of the last, week and a half to two, I've been doing some homework, watching some highlights from Rangers matches, studying some of the players and just things like that, just to get familiar with the club prior to the match. So I just kind of wanted to get into the Motherwell match that took place. This was like a week and a half ago now, where Rangers were up 2-0, and then Motherwell came back and tied it at 2-2, and how the goals were scored. The first goal happened on the right side, right midfielder taking the ball. Very fast player, which Red Star doesn't really have currently in their team. So I don't think Rangers really have to worry about that aspect of the game for Red Star. And, a ball was just kind of placed into kind of in between the goalkeeper and the center back, and neither guy really got to it. And the player from Motherwell just got at the end of the ball and put it in the back of the net. So a lot of miscommunication, which is the first part. And the second part, the left back, I guess, at that time just got beat really easily. And I think it was Goldson and McGregor who kind of got in each other's way. McGregor being the goalkeeper, who I'll talk about a little bit later on, and Goldson kind of got in each other's way on that first goal. The second goal was poor from Tavernier and Goldson again. The goalkeeper was also kind of slow to react, but it was a ball that kind of fell between the two players, and they kind of looked at each other like who's going to take it. And the Motherwell player just kind of came in and took the ball and slotted it into the back of the net. Again, McGregor a little bit slow to react. He is 40 years of age, like he's been around for a very long time. I think he could have done a little bit better on the goal, but again, I'm not gonna. I mean, the backline deserves blame for the goal as well, just because they were really slow to react. The two Rangers goals was a ball whipped in from Kent to Morelos, who slotted it in the back of the net with his head. And the second goal was just pretty much hard-working Rangers team in the middle of the pitch, taking the ball, transitioning into offense, and scoring the goal. And I think we saw some of that when they played Borussia Dortmund as well. I think they scored 6 goals. Like, it's not an easy feat, even though a lot of the goals were really, really bad on Dortmund's part. The defending was atrocious, and we've known that for a little while now with Dortmund. But, still scoring 6 goals is a lot in 2 matches in the Europa League round of 32, I guess that was. So some stats that I kind of want to get into. McGregor's 32nd in save percentage, which isn't ideal. Aribo is 4th in presses, so in pressure. So Aribo is I think he is their attacking midfielder or their right midfielder. I'm not 100% sure right now. Dragovic, 9th in block shots, 11th in interceptions. The one thing about Dragovic is he likes to give attacking players space to shoot, which I'm not necessarily always a big fan of. I think that players should be cut down as soon as you can. But I think he relies so much on his blocking ability, and he knows that it's such a strength of his that he can allow the attacking players to kind of take a shot. And again, he just believes in himself and that he could block pretty much every shot. So that's something to kind of watch for in these matches going forward. Rangers have 3 players in the top 20 in attempted dribbles. So Tavernier, Aribo, and Morelos. Ivanic is 8th in successful dribbles, which is saying a lot for a Red Star team that doesn't really attempt many. Red Star is 2nd yellow cards and 1st in red cards. So we have 2 red cards in the Europa League. Something that we're going to have to kind of focus on heading into these matches and not pick up stupid yellow cards. We've, for the most part, done a good job of not picking up really, really bad yellow cards. And we're going to have to continue that against Rangers because, you don't want guys picking up yellows early and, God forbid, red cards to where you have to play with 10 men. Kanga is the most fouled player in the Europa League. That's another thing I should mention. I'll get back to Kanga a little bit later on with his style of play. And all of Red Star's main passers, to quote, are defenders. So a lot of it's been kind of keep away for Red Star in the Europa League. We don't create too much going forward. We kind of play possession as much as we can, even though I think we're last in the Europa League in possession. But a lot of our stuff is, a lot of our passing is between the back line, and then they kind of send the ball over the top to either Katai or Ivanic or whatever the case may be, which we'll see how we do that in this away match against Rangers. Piccini versus Kent is a matchup that we're going to need to watch. I think this could be a very, very good matchup in both directions. Kent, like I said, a lot of the stuff that Rangers do kind of runs through him and Morelos. And Piccini is a player who just joined Red Star from Valencia, and he's looking to get back to the Italian squad. So he's going to have his hands full. He's only had a handful of matches for Red Star thus far. He's been really good, and I'm eager to see how he does in this matchup against Kent. Morelos, I already spoke about. He likes the ball in space, where he can kind of chase it down. He's a player who's going to try to get under your skin a little bit. So it's very important for the back line, especially Rakovic, being like a 21-year-old, to not kind of fall for his games and to just play his game. But I fully expect Dragovic to be on Morelos as much as possible. His goal scoring record for Rangers is outstanding: 112 goals, 51 assists in 220 games. Just crazy numbers. And the Scottish League is pretty good, so having those numbers is saying something. He scores a lot in Europa League as well, which kind of shows you the type of player that he is, and he can do it against better competition as well. And I fully expect, like I said, Dragovic to man-mark him for both matches. Dragovic has international experience with Austria, and he's played for some big clubs, so I fully expect him to be ready for that matchup. And everything kind of runs through Morelos. He scores a lot, but his link-up play is great as well. So I think that's another thing that we're going to have to focus on. Like when he gets the ball, you have to watch the players come in from second plan, so to say, like Aribo's, Arfield, depending on who starts. But you're just going to have to watch the link-up play with Rangers in this tie. And like I said, Kent, we're going to have to watch out for him. Exceptional dribbler. He does go down quite easily. One of the penalties drawn in the Borussia Dortmund match was on him. But he's an exceptional player, like I said, really good dribbler. He came over from Liverpool. I think Steven Gerrard actually brought him in, being familiar with Liverpool, and he's been really good for them since he's pretty much arrived there. So that's another player that we're going to have to focus on. Maybe even doubling up on him. Piccini might need some help there from Sanogo. So when you double up, and then if you double up on him, then either Srnic or Kanga are going to have to kind of watch the other guys that are involved in the attacking play. Since I mentioned Srnic, I think Red Star's starting 11 is going to be the same one from the Eternal Derby. I think Kanga's going to be pushed up a little bit higher as an attacking midfielder, and then he's going to have Ivanic and Katai on the wings, and then Ohi up top to score the goals. Hopefully score the goals. McGregor, again, 40 years old. He's better with his feet than he really is with his hands, and he gets beat on his side quite a bit. So I think that's something that Red Star is going to look to expose. This is when Ivanic and Katai will look to shine. Oki as well. That's kind of the attacking third there. Kanga shots from distance, always encouraged. He does a great job of letting off shots from 25, 30 yards out. Never met a shot that he didn't like. And the one thing I'll say is Red Star has to keep this match close. Rangers are their favorite, but I think that if you lose by a goal, you're okay going back home. Anything over a goal, you're kind of setting yourself up for not disaster in the second leg, but it's going to be very tough to come back from 2 goals down to Rangers at home. Even though we do have a rocking crowd at home, I know a lot of Rangers fans can't wait for that, but you don't want to get down by 2 or more goals. Losing by a goal, I mean, I think you'd take. Preferably a draw would be really good. A win, I mean, would be out of this world. But I think it's very important not to lose and not to concede stupid goals, which we haven't really done this season, knock on wood. And hopefully it continues to stay that way. But yeah, just don't concede stupid goals. If we lose by 2 or 3 goals, we're not gonna get all that back at home, even with a rocking crowd and with probably 45,000 people there for the match. Again, Red Star are one of the worst teams in terms of possession. Rangers, I think, that will attack. Rangers isn't crazy with possession either, but I think they're going to attack being at home and round of 16, all to play for, big match, 2 really good teams. So I think they will attack us, and I think how we respond in the first 15-20 minutes is going to tell us a lot about how Red Star is going to play the rest of the first match as well as the second match at home against Rangers. I think we're going to have to weather the storm. Again, that's going back to the first 15-20 minutes, and then the fans are going to play a big role, as they will in the home match to Rangers. This is going to be Ohi's kind of big test. This is why he was brought here. He was expected to score goals. This is a big match. We expect him to score. The 3 or 4 goals that he has scored, he's been kind of in the right place at the right time. I think he scored like 4 goals from a total of like 5 or 6 yards out. So he's been in the right place at the right time. Katai and Ivanic will need to be on top of their game. They've been really good since this second half of the season has started, and they've looked much better than they have in the first part of the season, especially in the Europa League. I didn't think they looked that good, but if they can get clicking, and if we can get that goal, I was going to say away goal, it doesn't really matter anymore, but if you can score against Rangers, that'd be really good for us and kind of a boost going back to Belgrade and all to play for. Kanga, as I mentioned before, he does a lot of where he kind of waits for the foul to be made on him versus getting the ball out of his feet. I don't think he's going to be able to do that in this tie against Rangers. It's going to be very physical, and I think that the referees won't let him get away with that. They might not give him a friendly whistle. So I think whenever he does have the chance to make the right pass, he needs to do it. And he doesn't need to complicate things, which sometimes he does. Also sending like useless balls to like the players up top, needs to cut that out as well. And I think that if we keep this close, we have a really good chance of going back home and advancing to the next stage. One thing I'll mention is the bench for Rangers is also very good. I don't know who's going to start, but they still have Aaron Ramsey, Amada Diallo, Stephen Davis is on the team, Arfield. Like, there's a lot of guys with experience, like Glenn Kamara. There's a lot of experience versus Red Star's bench where, there's a lot of guys who haven't played many minutes. There's a lot of young players. I think it's going to be very important to see how that aspect of the match works out. All in all, keep this match close. I think, you don't hang your head even if you lose by a goal. A draw would be good, and a win would be spectacular going back home. But this Rangers team is very good. I hope that we don't underestimate them, and I don't think that we will. Even though Rangers have been very good, a lot of their matches have been, 1-0, 2-1 results lately. Like I said, the Motherwell match was kind of showed a lot of their weaknesses, and I hope that Red Star can capitalize on those.